August 8th Village Board of Trustees of Indian Head Park to order. Could we have a roll call vote, please, or a roll call, please, excuse me.
Trustee Saldana.
Here.
Trustee Eck.
Here.
Trustee O'Laughlin.
Here.
Trustee Donnersberger.
Here.
Trustee Zvetka.
Here.
Trustee Gazis. And President Amy Jo Wittenberg.
Here. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Quick mayor's report this evening. We just want to remind everybody that we have senior congregate meals next Thursday, August 15th at the Indian Head Park Village Hall at 1:30. If you would like to RSVP, they would really appreciate it so they can plan ahead for the meal and entertainment. Please call Barb at 708-603-2259, or you can email her, Barb Coley, Kohley, at agingcareconnections.org. And if you need to arrange transportation from the Lyons Township Senior Bus, you need to request that when you RSVP. I wanted to spend a moment thanking everybody and the police department and Rob Verber, all of our administration, public works, volunteers, and our community stakeholders that participated in our second National Night Out. It was a great night, even in spite of some little bit of rain, or mist, I would say. We did have a flyover, which was amazing, which we appreciate. And this year we had a laser light show, and we were able to project lasers in the park, which was really fun with music. So I just want to thank everybody for that labor of love, and we will be doing that every year. It's always on the first Tuesday of August, National Night Out. Moving right along, I'd like to give you an update on the Wolf Road Phase 1 redesign project. The CAC meeting was held on July 20th, 2024. We had over 15 participants from different stakeholder organizations that reviewed alternatives for the road, discussed their needs and preferences for the roadway with the study team. The minutes for that CAC meeting will be updated on wolfroadstudy.com over the next 2 weeks, so they will be available for the public to view them, along with all of the data and surveys and maps that have been collected throughout the entire project. They are public and available on wolfroadstudy.com. The next public information meeting, number 2, where the alternatives will be presented to the public for review and discussion, will be tentatively scheduled for the end of September or beginning of October 2024. So that is the tentative schedule right now. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or Gavin or any of the resident members of the CAC. They are available to talk to you about the project and review materials with you as soon as they're public on the website. And those people are Amy Eckert, Dale Holmquist, Ken Demicky, and our business representative is Lissa Coolant. That's it for me. Can I please have a motion for the consent agenda, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Would you like to do the
Yeah, sorry.
financial report? Somebody needs to do the financial report, right?
Do you want to do a roll call on the consent agenda first, or do you want to hear the?
Oh, is it? It usually is in there.
Okay.
No?
I'll do the treasurer's report. Financial summary for the month ending July 2024. Cash on hand at the end of June 30th, 2024 was $3,576,882.16. Our July payments were $301,527.45. The total revenues for July were $752,307.43, making an ending bank balance on July 31st, 2024, $4,027,662.14.
Are there any other questions on the consent agenda items? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Saldana.
Aye.
Trustee Yek.
Aye.
Trustee O'Laughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Donnersberger.
Aye.
Trustee Zvetka.
Aye.
5-0, the motion carries.
Thank you. Moving along to new business. Could we please have a motion for item A, please?
I have that motion. I move to approve a contract in the amount of $16,600 for mowing, maintenance of flower beds, and tree trimming throughout the village from August to November 2024.
Second.
I believe there's a presentation here, Gavin.
I'll just go through it real quick, and Joe's here to answer any questions that you might have. So for a while now, we've had a staffing shortage, and one way to help with that would be to outsource our landscape management program. So we looked into vendors and settled on Berry Landscaping, and are recommending that we enter a contract with them to finish out this season. And then we are looking at next season, well prior to next season, going out to do a request for bids to get a number of vendors to bid on the full season. We think we'll see some savings by doing the entire season. And we, as I said, we did some comparison shopping and feel like that we'll get the best results for our money with Berry Landscaping. They do serve other communities in the area. We've gotten good feedback from those communities, and this will allow us to reallocate our resources to other tasks that need to be done also by the public works staff, by the existing staff. The cost to do this outsourcing of the landscaping is about half the price of another full-time position. So that was part of the justification for this. And we did take this to the Public Works Committee, and it was discussed there.
I want to add that I want to comment that this is a very smart way to do our landscaping, and it frees up our workers who are higher skilled to do the higher skilled needs of our town. Right now, they are really busy, especially because of the season, just landscaping, and it is a great disservice to our taxpayers to be paying them a salary for their high skills to just be landscaping, and I think this is a great solution, and we'll have our staff to work on what needs to be done.
So is this landscaping for the entire village?
Yes, it is for the entire village.
Well, I have a follow-up question to that. I agree with Christine. I think it's a great idea and a great use of our resources. But it says care for the exterior landscape areas. Is it better define someplace exactly what those areas are?
It's all village-owned property. So to clarify, when I say the entire village, not the HOA areas that they're responsible for, but for village-owned properties, so the parks, the playgrounds, the right-of-way that belongs to the village.
And that's delineated for them in their contract.
Any other questions regarding the landscape outsourcing with Berry Landscaping? Seeing that there are none, can we please have a roll call vote?
Trustee Saldana.
Aye.
Trustee Yek.
Aye.
Trustee O'Laughlin.
Aye.
Trustee Donnersberger.
Aye.
Trustee Zvetka.
Aye.
5-0, the motion carries.
Thank you. Moving along to the discussion of village hall hours, and we'll turn it over to Gavin.
So right now, we're open from 9 until 4, 4 days a week. On Thursdays, we're open from 9 to 7. And the question we had was whether that's the most efficient way to allocate staff for coverage of the front office, if that was meeting the needs of the community as far as being open past business hours so that we can serve the folks that aren't able to come into Village Hall or not able to do transactions online or over the phone. Things have changed since I put this on the agenda. We've actually had a staffing change. Jill Pilipchuk, her last day will be is technically tomorrow, but she will be on vacation next week. So that kind of changes the dynamic. We may look at a different way of staffing the front office, and she has been our part-time billing clerk for 5 years. Done a remarkable job, knows everybody in the community really well, knows who everybody's situation when it comes to water billing, and has been a really helpful resource, has been a good a big help for me over the last year as I'm just finished up my first year, and I don't think I could have made it between her and Helia. They helped me understand what had come before and what how things worked here. But sadly, she's leaving, and it kind of opens up a whole opportunity for looking at a different way of staffing. So I'm not exactly ready to talk about Village Hall hours right now. We're going to just leave them as they are right now. We've been covering it between Andres, myself, and Lucy Sanders, who has been working in the front office for the last several months. And so we're going to reassess, reevaluate, and may do something hybrid where we've got an administrative help for the Public Works Department as well as coverage up at the front. But that's going to take a lot more discussion and planning. So I will bring that question back to you. But for now, we're going to leave Village Hall hours the way they are. We have been tracking. Occasionally, we'll do some tracking of when people are coming in and when our busy hours are. So I'll create a heat map that kind of shows what that rhythm is like, and we can plan based on that and other input from the community. So
Will she be replaced?
we're looking at how to replace her and how to structure it in the front office so that we have the coverage we need, and like I said, get some help for Public Works possibly, if they need it.
Would you consider including some kind of a service where people can call in or they can book appointments? So you would know if your staff is needed a certain amount of hours, a specific day that is open for appointments?
We could certainly look at that for, maybe the building permitting department would be something good to do with that. I don't know. Certainly, any suggestions you have, I'll take. So it is, like I said, it's an opportunity to really evaluate what's needed and what's the best way to meet those needs. So we'll get creative and come back to you.
Any other questions about Village Hall hours before we move on? Alrighty, item C, discussion of personnel policy manual.
In your packet is an outline, more or less, of a model personnel policy manual. The one we have was last fully updated in 2018, so it's out of date. And I'm going to be updating it, but making it's going to be a complete overhaul. I'm just not going to use that one at all and going to create an entirely new one. But I wanted to share this with you so that you can see what all will be covered in the personnel policy manual. Please give me any feedback that you have. that would, anything you see missing, or if there's anything that you have questions about, we can certainly talk through that. But I wanted you to know what direction I'm heading, what all is going to be covered in it. It's going to be comprehensive. It's going to cover all of our policies, including anti-harassment. It's going to include the details on benefits, paid time off. We're also going to be, and I had mentioned this previously, going to be proposing a new holiday schedule that's more in sync with the federal holiday calendar. There's a drug, workplace drug policy will be included in it. And again, like I said, all of the benefits will be listed out there, including the relatively new Cook County Earned Sick Leave Ordinance. There is a section on tuition reimbursement. There's been an issue in the past. We have done in the past tuition reimbursement for folks, but there wasn't really a policy that had any kind of limitations or any kind of procedures or requirements. And so we're going to put some guidelines in there regarding that. But again, this is more of a this is information for you to digest, and you can get back to me on your thoughts on that.
One thing I didn't see was an online electronic communications policy and email policy. Online things for online access and.
Right. Understood. And yes, there is. In section 9F, electronic communications policy.
Okay, great.
But
Does that
yeah,
include online stuff?
yes, it'll include online, it'll include social media, and we'll also put in some information about who can and cannot represent the village when speaking to the press or to the media. So, yes, we'll cover that.
What about parental leave? It's not separated, is it under the FMLA?
I'll make sure that it's covered.
Yeah, it should be separated because it doesn't, there are some policies that pay a certain amount of time or allow you to take your vacation more than the 3 days that, or
Mhm.
whatever, or sick time, I can't remember, but if you
It-
can model it after.
Yeah, that sounds
yeah.
like it would fall under FMLA, because you can take FMLA for, to care for a child or
Yeah, but
a
it's not
parent.
paid. In some cases, FMLA
Oh.
is not paid, so there has to be a policy that allows you to take your time paid
Right,
up to a certain amount of time without a doctor's note. I mean, if you're sick more than 3 days, you need a doctor's note to come back.
right.
With parental, you don't.
I understand.
So there has to be some kind
Understand,
of.
and we will include that.
I don't expect that suddenly we're
That's-
gonna have a ton of people having kids here. Rob? No? Okay.
But,
But
yes, what I'm used to, and that's, as you said, it's not everywhere is the same. That's one of those things that is an employer's decision. Are we going to allow paid time? Are we going to require that you use your sick leave and your vacation
Exactly.
before? And does that run concurrently, or do you get all of your sick leave and all of your paid time, vacation, and then the 12 weeks of FMLA start? So those are some of the things that need to be clarified in our policy and will be clarified. And I will make clear to the board what is optional. You know, I'll make some recommendations, but I will say, this is what I'm recommending, but you could also do this or this with
And
FMLA.
would you please include adoption?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, are there predefined parameters for the drug and alcohol policy, like when testing is mandated, what's being tested for, et cetera?
So usually, it's mandated when it is a safety-sensitive position. So I would say Public Works, Police Department, definitely.
Okay.
And we do, if you have a CDL, we're required to do random drug testing.
And
We
do
only
we,
have 2 CDLs, but
do we have a list of specific substances for which?
we will have,
Oh, okay.
And there, with the legalization of marijuana, it adds a whole new twist to that.
Yeah, it's
Policy.
kind of where I was going in terms of curiosity.
Yeah.
One more question, if I may. Could you talk a little bit more about what is in the personal appearance, address, and hygiene guideline for conduct?
I haven't written that part yet.
Okay.
So, no. But,
Okay.
and it, you know, I will get more specific at a later date.
Thank you.
Gavin, there's a lot here. Are you intending to introduce this all at once, or are you going to introduce this in section by section? So we might have a little more time to view each section.
I think that's reasonable to do it section by section, or maybe a couple of sections at a
Right,
time
yeah.
for sure.
What's your timing for the first section, and which one would it be?
September, and I don't know.
Of this year?
Yes.
Okay.
That's our next meeting. I'll have a draft of, I mean, it makes sense to me to go in order. So I'll start, you know, maybe with the first 3 or 4 sections. Really, it doesn't get to the meat of it till section 5 with the harassment policy, but so maybe I'll do 1 through 5 for September.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments on that project? Hearing none, can we go on to old business, Heritage Center update?
It's an old building, old business. The landscaping, or the Heritage Center, sorry. I have been in contact with several different types of companies that would come out and do evaluations. I've talked with air quality folks, and as I mentioned at the last meeting, they're pretty booked with schools right now. But looking beyond, in those discussions, I started looking beyond air quality to some of the structural issues that come into play when you have thousands of books in a house that was built as a residential home 100 years ago. There's an entirely different load requirement, and so in discussions with structural engineers and with architects, the project started to broaden in scope. About 5:30 today, I got a proposal back from an engineering and architectural forensics company, Rass and Johnson, which is in Willowbrook, and they gave me this proposal to do a deep dive into the structural integrity of the building, as well as issues like air quality. And the proposal, the bid came in at $12,000, and so I'll be assessing that. That would require board approval, so I'll bring a recommendation if we go with that, or I'm also waiting for a proposal from Altus Works, which is pretty similar in scope to what Rass and Johnson does. So I'll be bringing something to the board in September for that. The air quality, when it's just looking at the air quality, it's a much lower cost, so that wouldn't necessarily have to come back to the board, but I would inform you before I proceed with that, if we're just going to stick with air quality. But I also had an architect and a structural engineer from Performance Services Incorporated do a walkthrough. They actually came out. We went to the Heritage Center. We actually did a walkthrough of all our buildings because, in addition to the immediate issue of what do we need to do about the Heritage Center, there's a bigger issue of what are all the community needs and wants that could be met by our whole facilities program, taking into account this building, the police department, the Heritage Center space, and the Public Works garage. What's our whole wish list? how can we meet in the space that we have, or in a new space that'll fit on the properties that we have, and developing a whole program. And that's a much longer term conversation, and that would be a lot of conversations with the Public Works Committee, with the board, with the committee of the whole. And so started having that conversation with Performance Services, Inc., because that's the type of stuff they do for a lot of villages. And I've also been having conversations with other firms that do similar work. Cordig and Clark is the main one of those that I've talked to. But bringing it back to the Heritage Center, I asked them, what would it take in the immediate short term to get this building, the Heritage Center, up to code from a health and safety perspective? What would it take to make it structurally sound for the purpose, for an institutional purpose like a library or any kind of public building? And what would it take to make it accessible? When you, which are kind of the low bar that any public building should meet. Those, it's safe, it's healthy, it's accessible, it is structurally sound. And their estimate, they're wild, just having laid eyes on it and walked around and poked a little, to bring it up to that standard, I hate to even say it, would be $1 to $2 million. So that was a big one to swallow. And they are going to give me a written report that details their thoughts on this, on the building, the Heritage Center. In time, I've told them that our next meeting is in September, so they're going to give me a report back in September, and I'll digest all this. I'll bring the most sensible recommendation to the Public Works Committee and then to the board, but it would be a significant investment. And in the meantime, so I'll have a recommendation for September, but in the meantime, we'll start talking about all of our building and the facilities program overall, and be continuing the conversation around what makes sense, what meets our needs, what meets our needs from a staffing perspective, our needs from the residents' perspective, our needs from the elected officials. So.
Gavin, one of the things that we talked about in regards to the Heritage Center was the library, and that there might be an alternative source for the library, since that's been essentially closed for over a month.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been any progress in that direction?
I have reached out to Lionsville Church to see if there was some kind of partnership we could establish with them. I haven't heard back yet, but I will follow up with them.
I joined the board all in favor of keeping the Heritage Center, but over the last couple of years, I've realized we can't keep it. And so I have a concern that we're throwing good money out after bad by paying people to tell us we have to tear it down. So, I think the board needs to consider that. I don't know if it's now or another time, but why keep paying to tell people that the
That's
air quality is
that's on the
bad?
agenda for the Public Works, and pretty much the people in the Public Works Department are headed in that direction, I think. But before we tear it down, we'd like to have an alternative recommendation in place, and that's our next set of discussion. And I think Gavin had indicated that he was going to bring that to the next committee meeting.
But
You're
the point
welcome
I'm
to join,
making,
yeah.
but the point I'm making is, let's stop paying people to tell us it needs to be torn down. And then following up on you, Charlie, do we know how much it's used as a library?
I reported numbers at a previous meeting, but I did not bring them tonight. It's not
Not
High.
high, no.
If I remember correctly, less than 100 people visit, was the numbers.
A month?
Yeah, but if you consider, yeah, but I do believe that that number included all of the friends and volunteers that actually go there. So people sometimes just come in to hang out with the volunteers.
But we can represent the data when
Yeah,
Gavin
there's
comes
data.
back to you, Eileen. He can
Yeah.
because Gene Sutherland did present those numbers to Gavin,
Mm-hmm.
and we had those 2 meetings ago, I believe. So when he comes back, he'll make sure to have all of that so you can see it. And also more information about the collection, so we know about the book collection, because I know she has a lot of information about what is there.
I think the library is a great idea, but I think if we're going to move it someplace, we have to do something more than just move it and say, okay, the library's moved. We have to make it an exciting place, for maybe a community place for people to go, and not just the people who know the volunteers up there, but to be a magnet for the rest of the community. So if you could pass that on to Public Works, Chair.
Thank you.
Well, and the other thing that had been mentioned at one point was, would our money be better served in funding some library cards in lieu of spending the money on the building and the books? So, fund some of the library cards like some communities do for a certain number of citizens, so they can join McCook for $100. We've done that agreement. And then they're going through the real library system, and they have the ability to get not only books, but online access, digital access, movies, and everything they need as well.
Yeah.
And actually be part of a library system, which to me has more value for people, young and old, than just the book collection that we have.
And we can do an analysis of what that would cost for the village to do that, fund library cards. I do have the numbers
Sorry.
from Gene. It's roughly 32 visitors per month. There's 299 patrons of the library. There's 15 docents, 12 substitute docents. The book collection total is 6,419 books. So.
And they're mostly paperback. Somebody lit a match and that place would go up.
Alrighty, so we'll be getting back on that item when Gavin comes back next month, correct? Yes. Anything else on Heritage Center? I'm hearing nothing, so we will now go on to public comments. Did we receive any public comments in email today at all, Andres? No, okay. Any public comments tonight? Alrighty. Then we will move on to reports. Danielle, do you want to go first?
No report, thank you.
Eileen?
The Economic Development Committee has been meeting and trying to plan for not a spring fling, but a fall festival. However, the triangle is now covered with clay because of the construction that the owner's doing up there. And we thought about it and thought if we're economic development, we should be where the business is. So we're not going to have it. We'll work with maybe the Halloween party to bring our resources to that. But we'll wait till next year. The owner up there is slowly making the retaining wall. We're trying to push him along. I had a discussion with Andres. I think that clay mound there is a real eyesore. So we're going to be working over the next several weeks to try to do something about that.
Can I ask a question in regards to that retaining wall? Why isn't there no protection around the buildable area like they do in other villages? Because I was there. The kids could fall in. There's lines that are coming down. And it just seems like a huge hazard waiting to happen.
I do know that they have sawhorses and caution tape around that.
When
I know we did get a report that, it got moved and then didn't get put back. We sent Kyle O'Connor, who's our part-time everything public works guy out there to look at it, and he reached out to Raul and made sure everything was back up. So
Yeah, but caution tape is,
I-
I would say is not acceptable.
No, there were
as far as-
horses. After you,
Yeah, and-
after I got your complaint, I went over there and there are horses and tape.
And they generally do their best. The one end is fairly blocked off with the dumpster. The other end, they usually have a truck across it. So they are doing that. Whether or not they could use, construction fencing on that, I don't know if our code, I don't know if the topography would allow for construction fencing, and if it would, I don't know the specifics on our code, and I can look into that.
So we're not the experts. Who is it that you told me from Strand? What's the gentleman's name?
You're thinking of Tony, our engineer from Strand, was the one that reviewed.
Tony. Can you talk with him and have him look at it and tell us if that's acceptable?
Yeah.
With the kind of tape, because you're right, it's just tape.
No, right.
I'll ask them, and I'll bring all our people who review those type of things and see.
Okay.
And figure out if, what else we can do to add some protection as well if need be.
Well, now what we can do, what we can hold the owner to do,
Yes, thank you.
it's his responsibility. But we need to convey that to him if he's not doing it the right way. Okay? Thank you.
All righty. Eileen, did you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Brenda?
I have no report, thank you.
Charlie?
Two brief ones. In regards to Public Works, I think Joe's going to talk about the pump house. The committee is continuing to look at, as we indicated, the Heritage Center, as well as developing the street sewer and surface replacement over a 5-year period. And we're working in that direction in Public Works. And the Finance Committee, we're working on upgrading our process for approving invoices and for checks and check signing, and that's going on currently. Thank you.
Christina?
No report. Thank you.
Village clerk? Report?
Just giving a brief update on business licensing. They were sent out. We found out that when we automatically did it out of Locus, it accidentally repeated and sent all the licensing they need, so including their gaming, which is not due until December, and their liquor licenses, invoices which they already all paid. So we've got a couple calls about that. So if anybody calls you and asks you why they've gotten multiple invoices, it's just the business licensing that is due right now. But otherwise, of our about 45-ish businesses, about 15 of them have currently paid for that, and more are coming in as time goes on. Some of them we're waiting to get clarification on the invoicing. Otherwise, building permits in July, there were 14 that were applied for, and we also issued 14. The total construction costs for those that were applied were $128,000, and those that were issued were $219,000. And finally, there were 3 FOIA requests, one for infrastructure that was public infrastructure that was built, one for agreements, and one for the fiscal year 23 payments.
Thank you. Village treasurer?
No report.
Village attorney?
No report, thank you.
Village administrator?
Okay. First, I want to recognize a promotion in the village. Joe Coons has moved from being the Public Works Superintendent to being the Director of Public Works. Thank you, Joe. Joe stepped in when we suddenly lost the entire leadership of the Public Works Department. He took it. He hopped in feet first and all the way up to his neck, and has really changed the culture in the Public Works Department, and really, I think, improved the service quality. So thank you, Joe, and look forward to many years of your directorship. So. Charlie mentioned the finance changes that we're going through, using an electronic process for approving payments through Google, the Google approval process. We're no longer going to be, it's going to be a more efficient process, but still maintain the integrity of the payments, so that we know that payments are appropriate and going to the right places. So the process, the outcome of the process is not changing. It's just becoming more efficient. The electric aggregation, you all approved going with MC squared for that and at the last meeting, but I wanted to kind of give an update so the folks in the community know what to expect next. So we'll every ratepayer will get a notification sent in the mail, and these will go to everyone will either receive an opt-out notice where folks will be enrolled unless they take action to opt out, and that's folks that aren't enrolled in a program right now, in the aggregation program right now. And then an opt-in notice inviting ratepayers who are enrolled with some other supplier of their choosing can participate in MC squared, and they may choose to opt in or they may take no action. If they take no action, their account will remain with their current supplier. And then thirdly is informative only, and those are residents that will remain with ComEd and don't need to take any action. They'll just stay with ComEd. So those letters will be coming out. They will have village have the village logo on them. So if anybody asks you what that's about, and it is legitimate. It is from MC squared. So, and they will have the choice. There is a community survey out in the community, and I hope that everyone who is a resident of Indian Head Park will complete that survey. So far, we've gotten 89 responses. If you haven't responded yet, and that includes those of you sitting up here on the board, you can go to our website, and our landing page, our homepage has a link to the, on the left-hand side, there's a picture of people standing around voting. You can click on that story, and there's a link to the survey. You can take it online. You should be able to take it on your phone. If you can't take it online or on your phone, if something's going wrong, we do have paper copies that we can send them to the HOAs. We can hand them out at the front desk. And you can fill out a paper copy, and we'll do the data entry. The survey is anonymous. It does ask which area of the community you live in, and it goes through a provider called Polco, and Polco is able to take information without sharing information, identifying information with us. They're able to sync it with voter data and can narrow it down by census block and by voting precinct to kind of give you a sense of what part of the community is saying what, or what's important to what part of the community. And the goal of the survey is just to kind of give more data, more input into the board's process of determining budget priorities and where to direct our resources. So,
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I did take the survey,
Thank you.
and now maybe my memory is faulty, but the only thing I remember would identify was if we lived east or west of Wolf Road and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, or
But-
south of Joliet.
Or south, yeah. But how can they get information out, or just from that?
From voter rolls, they're able
Really?
to, yeah.
Wow,
So I'm not sure. It's
interesting.
magic.
Yeah.
But this is, it's a resource that I was able to take advantage of through a course that I took through the International City County Management Association. And so I got free access to this tool, and I'm using it to the best of my ability. So, and on an even less scientific basis, at National Night Out, I did a exercise where residents of Indian Head Park who came by our table received 500 Indian Head Park decision dollars, and were able to pick from 7 categories. I know there are many more, and but I just picked 7. So just to see where people would put their money. And I can report some of the results. So each 32 people got $500 each. Somebody lost $100. So we only had $15,900 spent on projects. But the top priority based on this exercise, and again, this is just one little data point, was creating sidewalks and bike paths. And that received $4,100. Next up was improving parks and playgrounds, which received $2,900, and then building a community center was $2,700, and senior programs was $2,600. So that was the top 4, vote getters. And it was just an interesting little exercise, but there was a lot of conversation. And it appears that the #1 destination for those people who want sidewalks is Tony's. So there you have it. I heard that a lot. Next up, the hazard mitigation plan. We participated in that planning. It's a multi-jurisdictional plan. It is the largest plan in the country, and it's headed by Cook County. They put it together. They bring all the municipalities in Cook County who are interested in participating into this hazard mitigation plan, and they coordinate it. But we're responsible for giving the input about Indian Head Park. We did that. That plan has been approved by the county board. When everything is finalized by the county and they send it to me, I'll bring it to this. We have 90 days from when they approved it for us to approve it. So I hope to get that in time to bring it to the September meeting. But it's our area of it had a lot to do with stormwater and natural disasters, tornadoes, and events like that. So we're on top of that. Wanted to tell you about television upgrades. David Karaffa, who is our station manager, I guess is one way to put it, and broadcasts all our meetings, is working with a vendor to do some upgrades to our system. We're going to move all that equipment into this room behind us here, so that it won't be shoved into the corner over there, and it'll improve the quality of our television, the televised version of these meetings. The cost for that will be covered by reimbursement from the West Central Cable Agency, which is completely funded by cable franchise fees paid by the cable company, by Comcast, paid by AT&T, and excuse me. So we're taking full advantage of that money that is available to us. And those funds, really, there's pretty strict limits on what those can be spent on. So this is one of those things, improving our public access television. So my thanks to David for managing that process. The WCCA has already reimbursed us for some of the equipment we've purchased in the last few months, as well as for David's services in doing the television. Two more things. UIC, we applied for a capstone project. We put in a proposal for a capstone for a master's level class to develop some recommendations for a performance management program for us to look at key performance indicators that are suitable for local government and make recommendations to us. They'll meet, the proposal will have them meeting with staff to develop appropriate measures for us, and then developing a dashboard, hopefully, excuse me, that we can report out to our residents what activities we're doing, what the outcomes of those are, and then we can also measure how that is improving, what the impact of those outcomes is, how it's improving our community. We've also put out a job description and a request to have people apply to be a GIS intern with the village. And excuse me, starting just this week, we have a planning intern that's working with Andres to go through our, right now she's going through our planning ordinance and getting familiar with that, but she's going to help us with getting some of our permitting cleaned up and some other activities in the area of planning, working with the Planning Commission. Lastly, the NIU is also looking for capstone projects for their public management students. And the deadline's tomorrow, and I'm going to be submitting a proposal for a group of students to develop a communications plan for the village. And they would work closely again with staff to develop that, and probably some of the elected officials too. So I'll be calling on you. And that's my report. Excuse me.
So we might have 3 interns here soon. Thank you for that. Is that everything? That was a great report, thank you. Department heads. Rob, would you like to go first?
A flock update, and for those that are in the audience and don't know what flock is, our viewing audience, that is our automated license plate reader program. Currently, just Chief kind of gave me some bullet points here. Plainfield Road westbound at Wolf Road, that one will be installed August 6th. Joliet Road westbound at Willow Springs Road, that one will be installed on August 13th. The 294 at exit at Wolf Road, that is pending a permit from the Illinois Tollway Authority. The one at Wolf Road and Acacia Drive North, we just recently, I received the okay from the Acacia Homeowners Association to go ahead with that. That is currently under site review and planning. And then last but not least, at Plainfield Road westbound at Keokuk Road, that is currently in a planning stage. So in summation, by August 13th, we will have 7 of our flock system cameras up and running. And if I could just add this one note on that, these are extremely invaluable not only to our agency, but other law enforcement agencies as well. If we have an incident that occurs that involves a vehicle, we can get those license plates and we can conduct those thorough and complete investigations. In regards to our mail theft, thankfully, we've seen that's abated for right now. Where we're currently at, the arrests are pending and arrest warrants have been issued. It's just a matter of now of our detectives actually catching up with these characters and then actually serving those warrants, taking them into custody, and then ultimately prosecuting them. The police academy, there are currently 2 classes open. It was very hard for the chief to get those, but he did. With that said, we have one probationary candidate who's ready to go, who will enter right into the academy, and we have a second probationary candidate who we are currently prepping to enter into the academy. So one ready to go, one's kind of a little bit behind the starting line, and we'll get those both in as soon as possible.
Which academy is that? Chicago?
Is it, I
Cook
believe it's going to be
County.
the Cook County Sheriff's Police Academy, which is right out of Maybrook Square. The Neighborhood Roll Call, it's a program that we just started earlier this year. It's a unique opportunity for residents not only to get to know the officers, but the officers get to know our residents as well. We've had 2 so far, with a second one being planned at the Arrowhead Trails subdivision there. Anyone who's interested in having us come out and do the neighborhood roll call with them, we would like to do that. You could simply get a hold of me at my email. It's rverber@indianheadpark-illinois.gov. And we would like to come out and meet with you. It's a very informal, non-structured way to come out, bring lawn chairs. People have been bringing snacks and drinks and whatnot. And it's a really super neat way to get to know your police department, and your police department to get to know you. And you can bring up any concerns that you have. Typically, right now, it's just been the chief and I. We try to get some of the officers on our shift to come and get involved in it.
What was the location that you mentioned?
Well, the second one that's currently that we're working on is with Arrowhead Trails.
Oh, here.
No, that one we just did. Yeah, that was the one we just did.
That was Indian
Oh, Indianwood. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Ridge, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken. Arrowhead Trails is across the street.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
close. Yes. I'm at a loss for who I think it's Jim Noga with the Scouts. He's actually doing some door knocks to see how much interest he can gain in that. And then once he has enough yeses to make it more, we want to make sure we have enough people, 2 people, 20, yeah, 2. So he's currently doing it for Arrowhead Trails, and once we get the green light for that. But we want to be doing this with everyone in the community. You could do it with your block, you can do it with your HOA, at whatever level.
So just to clarify, I think that's what the confusion was, but this will be the 3rd one.
Yes.
Yes, when we do complete Arrowhead Trails, it'll be the
Yes.
3rd one.
The
We've
third one.
completed 2 thus far.
What's the minimum number of people that you need?
Well, we'd like to have, a handful
Okay.
at best.
And
If we only
here's-
have 1 or 2 people, that's kind of defeats the purpose of the actual
Right.
meeting then.
So, would you consider, Ashbrook is having a block party in September. There'll be a lot of people there. Is that the kind of venue? Could you go to that?
We're there.
Yeah.
Give me a
okay,
date and a time.
Okay.
We'll come at the very start of it.
It's the 14th of September. I'll email it to you.
We'll connect,
Yeah,
and we'll make it a
okay.
point, to be there. We would be there regardless. I bring the goodie bags for the kids, coloring books, everyone's loving the whistles. Because I don't have to listen to them once I leave. No, the kids like them. The slap bracelets, the coloring books, crayons. It's that engagement. That's what we're really looking for with the community, especially with the kids.
You got to remember, this is Ashbrook Townhomes. There aren't a lot of kids.
Okay, well, if there are, will some bring grandkids,
Yeah. They've been bringing
extended
grandkids,
family,
too.
that type of thing?
A few.
So I always make sure, I always have enough on hand just in case,
Okay.
President Wittenberg touched on the congregate meal program. We hope everyone comes out on August 15th. I'm not going to belabor that. The Rave Alert Smart 911 system, which has replaced our Simplicity alerting system. You can go on our Facebook page and register for that. However, which would probably be easiest for everyone, if you go onto the village website and you go into the upper right-hand corner on the village website, it says, "How do I?" Hover over that, and there's going to be a drop-down box will appear. And then under Sign Up, click on that, and it'll say Code Red. We've been calling it Code Red, but it's really Rave Alerts, but we'll stick with the Code Red. We're not going to realign the website. That, once you click on Code Red, that will take you to the landing page for the Smart 911 system, which is also the portal or the entry point into the Rave Alert system. So we want to get everybody involved in that for the simple fact that if we have something that's going on, it could be something as simple as a water main break, it could be a car chase that's going through the community, or some type of an emergency, whether it be weather or police related. We want to make sure everybody has all that information sent to them either by via text. It could also be sent to them via their email address or voicemail on your cell phone. And then last but not least, President Wittenberg had talked about or touched on our National Night Out. I just have a few things that I feel that are important about it, and we'll be doing a movie, a video on it, and all that type of stuff. Walgreens has come through with us every year. Matt, the manager over there, has come through with us last year with juice boxes for the kids, as well as water donations. That's that buy-in with the community. That's the whole drive or the impetus of National Night Out, is to get that community, village, business community involvement. We had some monetary donations. 3 of our big contributions that we received were from Countryside Bank, Wintrust Financial, the Smoke and Talk Tobacco and Vape Shop on Joliet Road, which is adjacent to Wolf's Head, and then the LaGrange Highlands Civic Association. They were kind enough to donate some substantial money. For us, we could consider it substantial, and I want to give them a big shout out. We'll be sending thank you notes to them as well for that. This year,
And
Li-
Lyons Township.
yes, and Lyons Township. Thank you for mentioning that. Let me put down Township. This year, we incorporated over 30 entities into our business fair, 2 food trucks. We had free popcorn, ice cream. Just to give you a sense as to how many people were there, we had 563 pieces of frozen product go out from the ice cream truck. So that gives you an idea how many people were actually there. And then we also had a laser light show, which also involved a helicopter flyover. I have to give a shout out to the Cook County Sheriff's Police and the Chicago Police Department for coordinating that. And they kind of stayed, they were orbiting in the area for about a good 3 minutes, 3-4 minutes. They did a couple banks and was very appreciative of that since I was not able to secure either the Coast Guard or our air ambulance. I want to thank our resident volunteers who helped out. Some of them are actually here with us this evening. President Wittenberg, Amy Eckert, who's in the audience, the Acacia Association of Townhomes, Acacia, for not only letting us use the parking lot, but for also letting us use the golf cart. That was instrumental in shuttling a lot of material back and forth. So a big thank you for that. And also the Pleasant View Fire Protection District for taking the time out to bring various apparatus out for our Touch-A-Truck, and the entire village board, the police department, and last but not least, our Public Works Department. Without Joe and Brian and we got all of our guys, Pedro and Raul, yeah, they did a yeoman's job. They stayed all the way to the end because we had generators this year. We used some trash cans. A lot of these things people don't think about, these behind-the-scenes things, really, really help. And then, of course, I want to thank Chief of Police Matt Walsh and Director Rafferty for giving me the time to actually put this event together.
Thank you.
Question, at the event, a couple residents asked, is the police department going to have the, like the one-on-one or the group training that they've done in years past?
Are you referring to the Citizen Police Academy, or?
Yeah, something like that.
We're planning that for the fall. Now that the fervor of National Night Out has died down somewhat, I can focus on other things now because I got a bunch of plates spinning, which I don't mind. It's a labor of love. We'll be looking at that if that's what you're referring to. I'm also trying to get, and they have not gotten back to me, I want to do a senior self-defense class that the Cook County Sheriff's Police puts on. Well, that's great 2 ways. Great. We just provide the facility. We host it, so I really don't have to do too much myself. And it's great for the seniors. Now, they're not going to make Chuck Norris out of all of our residents, our seniors, but they're going to give you some very convenient and practical ways to protect yourself, should that ever be warranted.
Thank you.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works?
I'd like to start out by saying thank you to everybody for giving me the opportunity to be your director. I plan on working just as hard as I have from the beginning, and working together with Gavin and all of you. We're going to get the village exactly where we want it to be. So thank you for that. And moving on, we'll start out with the pump house update. We're still looking at a startup date middle of the month, maybe a little bit later now, because obviously when you do a startup, you run into little things here and there that need to be worked out. But we started up the pumps in there. We're still feeding off of Countryside directly, but they're able to use the pumps and circulate the water throughout the system internally without having to turn it on and pump into the system. So we're working out the bugs on that. All the electrical is getting worked out. Metropolitan, our host for our SCADA system, has been in to work on all the panels and everything going. Tomorrow, the generator, they're going to test the generator. I'm going to cone off a couple of spots here. They're going to fire that up and do the test on that. At our committee meeting, we had a talk about cybersecurity and had a good discussion of what Metropolitan provides for us. And I believe the committee was pretty happy with what we have in place. One thing I am looking into is the contract that we have in place, how long it is, when it expires, and things of that nature. Also, what we've done over there at the pump house is put some cameras in. We have two, one on the outside at the back to look at the reservoir, one at the front door, and one on the inside of the pump house. And we also did one new camera in the hallway of the Public Works Department, and also the one that was up for the evidence room. We moved it so that it can, so we could see the garage entirely if anything happens over there. So those are a couple improvements we've done there. Our sanitary repairs and lining, you guys approved that at a previous board meeting. Thomas Engineering sent over contracts for signing and the certificate of insurance. Visit-Sewer was the company that got the bid. So it looks like things are moving forward. We should be starting that program soon. Also, a task order came from Thomas Engineering for our road program for this year. Looks like we're going to do the Cherokee and Thunderbird Loop to finish off that area in 45 acres. We also have some patchwork that needs to be done, a few patches here and there, a little bit of concrete work that we're going to try and add in with that, and some ditch work. So that is moving forward. We spoke about Berry Landscaping. Street signs, we had a meeting at the committee, the Public Works Committee meeting to discuss street signs, and I think we moved a little bit forward, but I'm hearing that we still have some bugs to work out on that. I think we probably came up with a post that I think we're going to probably use. We have a demonstration of a couple of signs that we were talking about, but I believe we're still going to be talking about that a little bit more before we make any kind of decision on exactly what we're going to go with. Our 23-24 salt contract is coming to an end. It goes from October to September. So we have to take our salt that we ordered last year, which we ordered 350 ton of road salt, and we have to take the balance of that before September 30th. Our remaining balance as of this week was 130 tons. I placed an order. We got 40 of that into the dome already, and I ordered another 60, which we should be able to get into the dome, which leaves us with about 30 left over that we're going to still have to take. If we can't get into the dome, we're going to use one of our areas in the back, and we'll just have to tarp that, and that'll be like the first salt we use out of the gate when we get some snow. This year's contract, I tailored it a little differently so that we're not stuck taking the full amount. We did an 80% or 120%. We have to take at least 80% of what we ordered, which I ordered 300 ton this year. Seeing as we had so much left over and it had a light winter, we're going to have plenty of salt. So I did 300 ton this year, so we only have to take 80% of that on the 24-25 contract. If we have a winter that just makes us crazy, we can take up to 120% at the same cost. So change that up a little bit. Staffing, we got some, we're still looking for a guy. We got some applications and resumes. We had a trial with Indeed. We got a couple through there and on the APWA website. So we have, I think we're going to try and get 4 or 5 people in for interviews, hopefully starting next week, to see if we can fill the void that we're dealing with right now. The HVAC system at the Public Works Department, they're going to begin working on that on the 19th of this month. It should take a couple of days, I think 4 or 5 days to complete it. So we'll have that completed. And then one of the programs we spoke of also at the Public Works Committee meeting was trying to get some sort of a ditching program in place. So we're looking at avenues to do that. I'll probably speak with Thomas Engineering to see what avenues. Usually we try and incorporate them in with road programs, but you know, areas that we're not doing road programs in need some ditching in areas. So we're going to try and put together some sort of a program to get that started as well. That's what I got.
Thank you. I think that's about it for this evening. If there are no more questions, we are going to be going to closed session tonight. I will need a motion for that, and we will not be returning back to be immediately adjourning the meeting. So
I make a motion to adjourn to discuss appointment, employment compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees according to 5 ILCS 120-2, /2, C1.
And just for the record, it's clear it's to adjourn the regular meeting and go into closed session for
To
that
go
purpose
into
under
closed
2C1.
session, sorry,
Thank you.
and everything else that I just said.
Thank you.
Trustee Saldana?
Aye.
Trustee Eck?
Aye.
Trustee Olafson? Trustee Donnersberger?
Aye.
Trustee Zetka?
Aye.
5-0, motion carries.
Great, thank you.